What's up, Buff Nation, and welcome into the Buff Blitz live Wednesday night stream here. I'm Russ Dornish, and of course, I've got my co-host every Wednesday night, David Talks Buffs. David, how's your day been? How's your day been going?
Dude, today's been awesome, man. We got a lot to talk about. Obviously, Kaden Salter really bolstering this quarterback room to new heights, man. It's been a long time since we've had multiple quarterbacks that we felt could be legitimate starters for this coming year. So that's going to be great to talk about. I love the fact how we're adding more on defense, linebacker, secondary, all that. But yeah, kind of funny timing, man. We just got trolled by Caleb Odom as a fan base, man. You know, putting out the buff signs, and going to Ole Miss. So Ole Miss strikes again, man. They snagged and paid Rashad Amos last year to come over there and sit on the bench, and you think Ole Miss couldn't get away with it, but they struck yet again. What the heck, Caleb Odom? What the heck? What could have been? What could have been?
I'm just more mad about the troll job that he literally did in the last hour. Like, it just goes to show how big of a deal Colorado is compared to everybody else. Let's just say that, because you're gonna throw up the buff signs right before it's announced that you commit to Ole Miss. I looked at, by the way, Dave, he had something like 500,000 responses in like the first 10 minutes, views on it in the first 10 minutes. And this is an hour old and he's only at 200,000. Like, yeah.
Yikes, man. Yikes. Well, hey, enjoy the money, but we press on, we move forward. I know Eric Rivers, a guy that I have just wanted so bad. This is what I fear about when you're not the first visit. You got it up here. That means that other schools are at the top priority, and you see him committing to Georgia Tech before he even gets out to Boulder. That is a killer. That sucks. But hey, you know who made his visit here? KC Concepcion, baby. That's what I'm talking about.
He did, and to go along with what you said with the order of visits, I said this earlier to get people too. Like, if they come to Colorado and they leave Colorado, and within a day or two they have not committed to Colorado, they're probably not committing to Colorado. It should be pretty quickly after the visit that happens. And I mean, look at Odom. It didn't happen. He goes to Ole Miss immediately after the Colorado visit. I saw a post of him in Mississippi. Kind of figured it was happening, but then of course he trolls with the tweet, changes that up. Now we've got Eric Rivers going on his first visit to Georgia Tech, not leaving Georgia Tech without committing. On top of that, we've got Joseph Williams also, who was supposed to come and visit with Eric Rivers this weekend, committing to Utah today as well. So all of these guys, that's the problem with being the last visit for some of these guys, is if it gets to you, great, it's probably a lock. But if it doesn't, it's probably they're not even coming because they're going to commit before that. The other one that I thought or I'm thinking about that didn't happen as well, Jordan White. He committed to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And he was supposed to be coming this weekend, and it was supposed to be his last visit. And I said if he gets to the visit, then great, he's a lock for Colorado, but the high likelihood is that's not going to happen, and he's not going to get to that visit. And so we lost that. In the chat, they also bring up another player. Cam Calhoun was a DB that was supposed to be coming. He commits to Alabama sight unseen on his visit. And so that's the way of the transfer portal in these visits, is everything happens quickly. These guys aren't like the high schoolers wanting to go, court every team in the country and see what they've got and get a free ride. No, it's you come, you're committing, or we're done with you. And so it's just coming so quickly when it comes to that. The other player we can talk about really quickly before we get to the good news, which is where we should be heading, is Josh Bates. The Colorado legacy from Durango, Colorado, ends up at SMU today. So that is another person who did not end up visiting us, and, ends up committing elsewhere. So as far as players that have actually visited and have yet to commit, the only ones so far are Caleb Odom, Xavier Atkins, but he has not committed anywhere else, so that could still be in play. Kevin Concepcion, his visit is over. We don't have a commit just yet, but of course he's deciding to frequently post about Colorado since his visit.
That's what's up. I love it.
Looking good. I love it. I think he'd be unbelievable here. Out of all of those receivers, I think he's the best one of the 4 receivers and the 3 that we just lost out on. So that's still up in the air. Michael Garner literally got offered a couple hours ago on his visit. So he's a potential lock. And then this weekend, the only other player I know that's visiting now is Tafiq Bayard and Jordan Scruggs are the only players that I have still left to visit.
Scruggs, he's the corner. He's a G5 corner?
Yes. I think he is. Let me double check where he's at. Because he just they just announced that he was coming to Colorado.
Yeah. I just remember seeing that he's 5'11". So hey, that's good enough for me.
South Alabama DB,
Okay.
Jordan Scruggs, 5'11", 176. He's a junior. 69 total tackles, 1 interception, 2 pass breakups in his career at South Alabama. So not too shabby. Could be a decent get for us. Another, kind of piece in the coffer, so to speak, that we could go to. But let's, of course, move on now. Okay. We've moved past.
Let's talk about what we got.
Because today was a great day. Today was a great day, Dave. Outside of all that, today was still a great day. Let's talk about it, Dave. You kind of got us going this morning, talking about some of the guys yesterday, last night. We had 2 big commits last night in Buck Buchanan, the super-legged kicker, the man, like our new secret weapon.
Yeah.
Dave, what do you like about Buck Buchanan besides obviously having the greatest name in the history of kickers?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential for him to sell merch with this school, with his name being Buck Buchanan. Now, this guy, big time booter, Elliot Arnold coming in as a freshman, and we got Buck Buchanan. We might have 2 big booters on the team now, and I think that we're going to see a fun little kicker by committee this year. I think it's going to be great. We'll see probably Buck Buchanan handle touchbacks or kickoffs that hopefully turn into touchbacks. I think he was 50 of 56 this past year. And guys, that's at sea level. That's at Louisiana Tech. Now he's going to be kicking it half the season up at 5,400 feet above sea level. Kickoff should no longer be an issue for us. We should see our return unit or have to use our return coverage unit pretty infrequently with these guys. And I love the fact that he's coming in, and we'll see what he can do in terms of the place kicking. You would have liked to see higher accuracy numbers, I think, from him this year. I think he was 50% at both between 40 and 50 yards and then 50 and beyond this year. But he's somebody right now, I would say that Mata, if he's within his range, 40 to on in or 45, wherever you feel really comfortable with him and you're not stretching him, have him handle that. And then if we're in situations where we do need to kick a long field goal, we at least have, I think, 2 guys now in Buck Buchanan and Elliot Arnold that are capable of doing that, which I think is great.
Yeah, I mean, you go deeper into his stats. It's like you said, I look at this as our deep threat kicker. Like, if we need to go for a really long field goal, we can trot him out, give him a shot. He has the Louisiana Tech school record of 57 yards this past year, as well as, I think, 3 other kicks over 50 yards. And in his career at Louisiana Tech has a number of 50-plus yard field goals. So that's where he's really, really good from. But like you said, here is his percentage of touchbacks. Again, like you said, at C level in Conference USA, 82% touchback rate in his career. That tells me right there, that is the reason that Prime brought him in. We know that he said that at the press conference last week. He said, we're getting a kicker who can kick the ball through the end zone. Like, that's going to happen. And sure enough, here he is. Buck Buchanan is definitely that guy, and why Coach Prime went and got him. It makes 100% sense.
One thing that I did want to point out too, Russ, is that when you look at his stats from his freshman year, Buck Buchanan on his touchbacks, you can see that a much lower percentage. I want to say it was around like 60% or something like that. But you saw development, of course, with his kickoffs moving forward, probably strengthened his leg, fine-tuned his technique. And so I think even guys that we've been really excited to have, Gerlach, Stojanovic as well, that I'm hoping still stay on the team. We could very well see a nice leap from them going into their redshirt freshman or sophomore seasons with their legs developing too. So I feel like we have like a really nice room right now, and I'm feeling very good about it for the long term.
Yeah, completely agree. As far as the other gets, of course, the other big one yesterday was the tight end, Zack Atkins, also committing. Big tight end coming in from Northern Missouri State University. Dave, what are the things that you like about him, and how do you see him fitting on the Buffs roster?
I mean, dude's an all-around tight end. He can run, he can get vertical. I think he separates really well. We'll see how the blocking translates going up against much bigger guys at the Power 4 level than Division II football, but showing, the ability to do it at Northwest Missouri State. I think he plays with a nice edge. And again, he's a guy that's, like, you can tell, very fluid, very comfortable running routes. And again, a guy that I would see being a separator here. I think right now he would profile to be our tight end one, but this guy, he's a legitimate tight end. I think when it was all said and done, 24/7 had him ranked as like number 11 or 12, I think, in the transfer portal for tight ends right now. And this is a tight end that a lot of schools wanted. I know he had a handful of offers from very good programs that have beat us out for tight ends like this in the past years since Coach Prime's been here. So it really does speak a lot to Zack Atkins, that I love the fact, man, that he chose to come here with the Buffs. I think that we're finally going to see a tight end featured well in this offense, to where it's not going to tip the defense too much of what's going on.
Exactly. I mean, the big thing with him, and I think this is why he came here and didn't go to some of those SEC schools that offered him, it's the fact that we don't have tight ends. We just don't. Like, your competition is Savell Smalls and Sam Hart, who didn't play at all this year.
I think Smalls is done.
Is he done? Is he out of eligibility?
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case, either way, if he has eligibility, Zack Atkins should easily beat him out. If he doesn't, again, Zack Atkins, all there is. This guy saw an opportunity and said, I can come be in the spotlight and be the number one tight end threat. I saw what they did with the tight end 2 years ago, in Michael Harrison. And now I can come in, be that same kind of role if I come in, work hard, do what I do, and just, be the type of player that I'm supposed to be. And that's why we end up like this. And I think he's going to be a perfect fit. He's exactly what we needed. I would love for us to get another tight end, because like we just said, there's literally nobody in the room, and we need at least two solid tight ends, because I have a feeling that we are going to see more 2 tight end sets if we have those skill guys to be able to run the ball, to be able to protect Julian Lewis. I think, because if you watch, which by the way, right now, watching Carrollton play in the state championship, they are running a lot of stacked offensive line schemes, multiple tight end sets.
Under center, baby. Under center.
So that offense that Carrollton run is what I want to see us run next year, and just transition well with Julian Lewis. So let's hope that that's what happens, and hope that that's what's going to happen coming in next year.
Yeah.
So outside of Zack Atkins, of course, today we get the big ones. Let's go first with The one, Gabriel Lightfoot, defensive lineman from Fresno State, commits to Colorado, visited this past weekend. Dave, what do you have to say about Gabriel Lightfoot and what he could bring to the Buffs defensive line? Is this a guy that's going to start? Is he going to be a big impact player? Is he a rotation player? What do you expect from Gabriel Lightfoot and what you've seen?
In terms of who's starting on the interior defensive line, man, we'll see. I think like right now, I think my favorites would be Jeheim Oatis and Amari McNeil as being those guys that get the starting snaps. But you guys know, like we want to be running, 4 guys in the rotation, 5 if necessary, And so I think Gabriel Lightfoot just he's going to bring production. That's what he is. He's an older, experienced player now. He's been somebody that racks up tackles from the interior, which isn't common. And I very much look forward to seeing him play around what I would imagine to be the best talent that he's been surrounded with at the edge position. And then I think what we got going at the, at the one tech with Jeheim Oatis, I think he's a huge game changer for this line. So I really love it. 6'3", just a shade under 300 pounds. So he depending on what weight they want him at, somebody that adds more size to this line, which I think is great. And I think we're getting bigger up front, which is great to see. But I see him as somebody who knows, maybe he could be a starter for us. I don't really know. We'll see how the competition shakes out. But I think at minimum, this is a guy that's going to contribute, especially in the run defense. What do you think?
Yeah, no, same exactly. I think Jeheim Oatis is the, so to speak, jewel of the class so far. He's going to be your Chidozie Nwankwo straight replacement. But Lightfoot, Amari McNeil, those I think are going to be that rotation piece because, again, we rotate constantly. We do not keep people in. We do not just, ride a guy for every single down if we can. Obviously, if a team is playing, fast against us, that causes a little issue with that. But I think that it's going to be with the role and idea of what he can bring depth-wise. So I like the grab. It's always good to have that depth in the defensive line, especially with who we're losing, this year, who we've lost. So really, really excited about that. And then we can go to, I think, the biggest one of the day. And we're going to have a conversation, Dave, because fans are not understanding this at all. And we've got to have a come to Jesus moment with some fans out there. If I'm being honest, okay, come to Jesus moment. Kaden Salter, quarterback, Liberty University, has committed to Colorado, a 2-year starter at Liberty. His stats are absolutely insane. At least his stats last year. Now, this year, he did have a kind of couple steps backwards, which is unfortunate. He went into the portal last year for a little bit, came back to Liberty. Things didn't go so hot for him that second year starting at Liberty. Dave, what are your thoughts? And real quick, just so everybody knows what I'm talking about, by the way, when it comes to his stats, this is absolutely insane because I have not seen a quarterback like this at Colorado in a very long time, Shedeur included, because in 2023, he went for 61% completion, 2,876 yards passing, 32 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions.
Yeah.
But wait, there's more. He rushed for over 1,000 yards and 12 touchdowns last year. Like, I saw these numbers and I'm just like, why was he not a bigger deal in the portal last year? Like, I don't get how he wasn't the biggest name in the portal last year. And yet he goes back to Liberty. His stats revert quite a bit. He only does half the rushing touchdowns, 1,000 less yards passing, half the touchdowns, and a lot more fumbles, which a lot of people have been, constantly throwing his way online when I've seen, posts with people excited about him that he's a fumble machine. Dave, what are your thoughts on Kaden Salter and, what he's going to bring to this team.
Dude, I got to put the Ralphie horns on for this
one.
There
it is.
Got to put the Ralphie horns on for this one, Russ. Man, I'm so excited to have him here. Again, when you look at what he was doing in 2023 with a great supporting cast, undefeated record, going to that bowl game against Oregon, which they lost. I mean, I forget what the score was, but nonetheless, he's a winner. He's been part of really, really good football programs, being Liberty, and somebody who is just a dynamic athlete and playmaker from the quarterback position. This guy can make serious plays with his legs. Again, guys, we didn't even have close to 1,000-yard rusher this year. This guy is a quarterback just a year removed, put up over 1,000 yards. I mean, he almost had 4,000 yards, I believe, of total offense in 2023 with like a 44 touchdown to 16 turnover ratio. Okay, you'll take that with what he's doing. I think he's incredibly exciting. Let's say our offensive line, it's not where we want it to be. Let's just play out that scenario, okay? Do you want our only option to be throwing Julian Lewis or Ryan Staub between a line that needs to develop more? No, we got a guy that's a true dual threat that can make the most of a half-decent offensive line. The offensive line at Liberty this year was absolutely atrocious, which I feel like was one of the reasons why you saw the statistical backslide this year. But I've gotten texts from friends that are fans of other college football teams that follow all this stuff. They've said, Dave, Kaden Salter is legit. I can't believe you guys got him. He's the perfect quarterback to have paired with Julian Lewis. And again, I'm not saying that he comes in here declared as the number one starter, but I think that he definitely has the opportunity to go and get it. If Julian beats him out, then hey, let the best quarterback win. But I think that this is best for the program in order for us to continue to build immediately off of the 9-3 foundation that was laid this year, continue to take steps forward, and then not have to put any added pressure on Julian. He can take over the reins when he's ready and when the team's ready.
Exactly. And for everybody out here, the last week or so that have said, why are we offering Kaden Salter? Why are we pushing for him? Julian Lewis isn't coming anymore. He's going to be mad. I really don't understand how people don't get the fact that Julian Lewis isn't that type of kid. No. He came here because he had a chance. He was given a chance to start. And he even said that when he was interviewed, why he chose Colorado, because Coach Prime said he will give me a chance to start. Okay, there was no guarantees. Coach Prime does not lie to these recruits, okay? He does not say, you're going to start. I don't think he's ever told a single player in probably their history that you are guaranteed to start. No, he tells them the truth. He says, I see what you can do, and if you do what you do and you compete, I believe you have a chance to start with us. And so those kids are the ones that won't back down from that challenge. They don't need to, get kind of babied or princessed or whatever you want to talk about and given the starting role or promise that, and obviously then it doesn't happen and they leave in the portal. No. Coach Prime is honest with them and is honest with them throughout their whole career. If he does not see a future with them with the Buffs, he will tell them and say, hey, it's probably better that you hit the portal and go find a team where you can play, because unfortunately you're just too far down the depth chart and you're wasting your time here not getting that playing time. And so getting Kaden Salter is good for a couple reasons. One, it's that competition with Julian Lewis, okay? We're not just handing the keys over to him automatically. He's got to compete for that spot and earn it, okay? Number two, if Julian Lewis does start, what happens if he gets injured? Are we Utah 2.0 this year, where they had to go through so many quarterbacks and literally the play just completely dropped off the face of the earth once old man Cam went out? You have to have a good backup option, especially when you're going with a true freshman quarterback. I think that more than anything, because people have also brought up the point, Dave, that why didn't we go after a big guy with Shedeur on the team? Well, Shedeur was a junior, senior. He was ready to go. He had that body already to face the beating that was coming to him. And so the team was willing to risk that. At this point, You don't want to put Julian Lewis in that position where he has to force himself to play when he's not 100% and potentially ruin his early career. So there are a multitude of reasons you go after Kaden Salter, besides the fact that he's a pretty damn good quarterback. And I would be completely fine if he was the starter next year. It does bring one more point, though, before I kind of end this part for me. Just so everybody knows. And I'm going to say this, and please do not take it the wrong way, everybody in the chat, all the fans who watch this. Okay, I say it because I actually like the kid. Ryan Staub is going to be entering the portal, and he's going to be leaving Colorado, and I hope he does. Do you know why? It's not because I don't like him or think he's bad. I want the kid to go someplace and play. I don't want him to sit here in Colorado for 4 years doing nothing. Like, the kid is probably good enough to play at a lower-end G5 school. Heck, he's probably great to play at a high-end FCS school like a Montana, a North Dakota State, a Montana State, Idaho, all those G5 teams in the area that are really good and looking for quarterbacks next year. I know for a fact that Montana State is looking to replace their all-star quarterback that's leading them right now. That would be a great spot for Ryan Staub to go, and I hope that's where he ends up. So, guys, it's probably going to happen. Relax. And just know that I'm not like saying I don't like him and I want him out. It's just I think he deserves to go start somewhere, and it's not going to be here.
Yeah, well said, Russ. I think that that's what I hope Ryan does as well. I want to see him play, and you only have a finite time to play football, man. So definitely get on the field doing that. And what I love, man, about Kaden Salter is that, yeah, when you look at his average depth of target, when you turn on the Liberty highlights, like, this dude's got an arm. He slings it downfield. It's aggressive. This isn't a check down merchant, anything like that. He's not the most accurate quarterback, right? I mean, I know this is probably a lazy comp, but it makes kind of sense why he was the guy to secede from Malik Willis or whatever. Like, they're kind of similar. Like, Malik Willis wasn't the most accurate quarterback at Liberty either. And I think with kind of what they asked the quarterbacks to do, they asked them to throw downfield. They asked them to be incredibly aggressive. That's also why you see the completion percentage is lower than maybe in some other offenses that they could play in. I think one thing that's important, yes, we got to work out the fumbles and stuff like that. The interceptions, I think they're at a fine amount. So, yeah, he's going to push the ball downfield. We're going to bring in more receivers, but we truly can develop like a real run game. I feel like even if we don't have like a top offensive line and run blocking in the Big 12 next year with him at the helm, because you legitimately have a true dual threat quarterback you can run some zone read with. That is a true threat with their legs. And I just think that he's the perfect quarterback to have right between Julian and Shedeur. We don't have to rush Julian's development.
Exactly. We shouldn't rush it. We shouldn't rush it just for the sake of playing him.
Yeah.
If he ends up having a red shirt because it just doesn't work out perfectly, that's not a bad thing, guys. That's not a bad thing. Because again, it's been brought up several times in the chat as well. And Dave, you're 100% right on this. Like, we got to remember, Juju reclassified. He's only going to be 17. Like, It's already hard for a true freshman 18-year-old to start. But when you've reclassified to get to college early and you're 16 going on 17, that's going to be tough. That is going to be extra tough. Can Julian Lewis do it? Can the type of player that he is and the work ethic that he puts into his craft work it out to where he could play? Yes. But you don't risk that. You don't risk an entire year for that hope. And I think Julian Lewis, his father, I think they understand that. Yeah. I think they really do. I think they have good heads on their shoulders. I think they've really, really understand what that looks like. And so I'm not worried. I think this is the perfect get for Colorado. A 1 year, a true one and done quarterback who's going to come in, help Julian Lewis, and, just where it goes from there. So absolutely, I think that this is a smart move. And I like this too. What if we split time between Juju and Kaidon?
Totally do that.
How many teams do that?
Tebow.
How many teams do that? Like, they have the running quarterback who can still throw the ball. They're not one-dimensional completely. Like, unfortunately, that's what happened with Taylor. Like, everybody thought he was just a one-dimensional, like, bring him in and just run the quarterback dive. He can't pass worth the darn, but he could run because he's a big boy. And we were like, hey, play that. It doesn't work because if you don't have the threat of the pass, they're just going to stack the box and it's going to be impossible to do anything with it. So this is a much better way that we could potentially game plan and use him in a different way. Yes. So I think that's where we're at with this.
And I want to hit on this too. We'll even see what happens with Michigan and Bryce Underwood, but it is very rare that you just see plan A. Caleb Williams wasn't even plan A for his true freshman year, and he probably had one of the better true freshman years that we can remember. He didn't even start the season as the starter. So, again, if we're in a scenario in which we need to change it up, I think, Juju's going to, do great at that. Right now, if I got a prediction for who I think is going to win the starting quarterback job coming out, it's going to be Kaden Salter. I'll go with the veteran guy who has had multiple years starting in FBS college football. And again, I think you'll see Kaden Salter fit really well into this offense. I think you'll see the completion percentage increase. Now, I'm not saying he's going to be Shedeur, but I think you're going to see him maybe perform a little bit more efficiently with what Pat Shurmur is going to ask him to do, with how easy it is to just get the ball to our weapons quickly and allow them to get downfield. I think is great. But guys like Hassan Longstreet or the guy who's over at Texas A&M, this is what good quarterbacks or good programs have at quarterback. They usually have a guy that they're going with. I mean, you see it at Auburn with Deuce Knight. Is that the quarterback that's out there? I'm trying to remember.
He's going to, well, for now, he's committed still to Auburn.
Yeah. But you're going to see Auburn. They got some, like Jackson Arnold or some different guys that they could have as a bridge. And this is just what happens. So the fact that we got a little bit of a pipeline at quarterback now feels really, really great. It's a great, it's not even a problem, man. This is a great luxury to have.
Yeah, that's exactly the point of this. And, we're bringing this up. It sounds like the obvious, but you guys would be surprised. If you look at social media, if you look at all over the internet, there were a lot of Buffs fans that were throwing a fit that we got, or we were even trying to get Kaden Salter. So this whole conversation we're having right now may seem obvious to some of you guys in the chat or some of you guys watching. It's not obvious to every Buffs fan out there with how this works. Okay. So we have to talk about it. We have to discuss it. It's an important aspect to this. And, it's a good thing we ended up with Kaden Salter. I'm glad we grabbed him. He's one of the most important ones that I wanted, and there's only a few of them left at this point. So we'll have to see what happens. Because it seems like the first kind of wave of the portal is starting to wind down as far as the really big and important guys and the guys that we're after. And I think what's going to happen now is after this weekend and after the last few guys that are going to trickle in, there's going to be a little bit of a break, guys. It's going to take a little bit of time. There's going to be that second wave of the portal here in the next 2 weeks with the bowl games finishing up, with the playoff games finishing up. So we've got to just be patient and watch and find that out as we go forward with the bowl games and everything that's coming up. Dave, is there anybody else on your radar, anybody you've thought of or seen enter the portal that you think Colorado should be going after at this point?
Man, most of my guys that I've wanted are now committed to other schools. Yeah, again, big fan of Eric Rivers. That's going to suck that we got to face him week 1 against Georgia Tech. But, best of luck to him. Glad to see him jumping up a significant level from FIU to Power 4 football. I think, man, I haven't really looked at any targets, but I did just want to hit on a couple of the other guys that we got in our 8-man transfer portal class right now that I'm just excited about. Again, I think Jeheim Oatis is a game changer for the defensive line. I think that, again, don't look too much into what he did or didn't get this past year in terms of statistics. Ended up redshirting, but as a true freshman, 30 tackles from the interior in the SEC. Are you kidding me? Basically followed that up with the same statistical season in 2023. A really solid player, 6'5", 330 pounds, a true anchor on the defensive line that I think the Big 12, man, they're gonna fear this defensive line, man. We're bringing in some serious size, and I love that. And then Reginald Hughes, man, a guy that jumping from Ole Miss to Jacksonville State, proving that he can be a 3-down linebacker. I think very similar to Nakai Hill-Green. I think that he could fill a starting role for this team. We'll see who else is brought in to compete. But when you're 6'2", 240 pounds and you can cover, he had 6 sacks last year as well as a box linebacker. So a guy that I think adds a lot of potential and versatility to this defense. So I'm pumped about it, man. I've loved the guys that we've grabbed so far with the portal being open.
Yeah, I think they're very pointed decisions, pointed picks. We're not just going and grabbing random guys. They are very important to specific positions on this team. We didn't even talk about Reginal Hughes. I completely forgot about him last night. And I've been watching some of his tape. That dude is a beast at linebacker. He's obviously going to be taking the next step up from a Jacksonville State to obviously the Power 4. Mm-hmm. But everything I've seen about him, the makeup of his physical body, his size, he's that perfect kind of, I think, prototypical linebacker size. He gets to the ball quick. I think he's going to be a great, unfortunate replacement for Nakai Hill-Green. And I think that's going to be an important aspect. And I was really excited that we got him late last night to, again, continue what we've been grabbing, from the portal. The outside of what we've grabbed and what I've been looking at, I've also seen this, and I wanted to bring this comment up, which was, with us missing out on these wide receivers, do you think we look at Cook or Branch? I'm going to tell you guys right now, neither of them are in play. One, Cook did something not so fun to Coach Prime when he was in high school recruiting that kind of burned that bridge. And I'm telling you that Colorado wants nothing to do with him. As far as Branch goes, he entered the portal with a non-contact. Okay. He's going to probably, my guess would be Oregon. That's just where I feel like he'll go, stay on the West Coast, get paid a ton of money. Go to a rival, so to speak, of USC at this point. We're not in play for either of those guys. So don't get your hopes up that either of those guys are going to be coming, even if they tweet out about Colorado. Cook has been tweeting out about Colorado. And then finally somebody asked him, like, are you seriously going to be coming for a visit? And he said, no, they don't want me. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
So
yeah, Guru said in his response on Twitter, to quote the great wordsmith Shiloh Sanders, this ain't last chance you. So,
yep.
Yeah,
exactly. And we need to realize that, guys. So those are kind of where we're at. Eric saying, what did he exactly do? I think it was something his parents did, from what I've heard from people, is something during the visit that he had when in high school. I think he's probably one of those kids that, parent probably said something about getting a bag. And as we know, Coach Prime is not okay with that. That's not what it's about. So he's not going to be in play for Colorado. So just let's move past that. And we'll deal with that later on. Okay. So that's where I'm at with those two. As far as other guys, I'm not sure at this point. Like I said, we're tailing off. So there's really not going to be much else out there. I mean, I'm looking at my list of guys that are still out there that I would love that haven't committed. Mm-hmm. Takario Davis, he's gotten very quiet since he entered the portal. There really hasn't been any talk about him.
Yeah, I think Texas is from what their beat writer was saying. I think they're in the pole position for Takario Davis,
and that would make sense. That would make sense. When you don't hear anything about a player, it's usually because something is already kind of done and they just haven't announced it yet. So that would make sense for Takario. Tafik Baird this weekend, that would be a huge get safety wise. Haven't heard anything on a couple of the other linebackers that I was watching in the portal really doing anything. Jordan Scruggs would be a great get, like we talked about a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's just kind of winding down now. We're going to have a little bit of a lull here, and that's okay, because guess what we get to talk about now for the next week? We get to talk about that bowl game, and we get to talk about the freshmen coming to campus and practicing with the team.
Yes. Yeah, man, I'm pumped about it. I think I guess we'll have to connect on another day next week, Russ, because Christmas is a week away.
Yep.
We're not doing a Christmas show. We're just we're not. But yeah, man, I can't wait for the bowl game. I got my tickets last week, so that's going to be a lot of fun being down here in San Antonio. I can't wait. And yeah, again, this is like the primer to a lot of the movement we'll see after bowl games conclude. I do think that a handful of these bowl players are going to hop in the portal. I imagine we got guys that are on our radar that are still playing in postseason play. And so, this is a great primer, and I don't think we're even close to being done yet. So, yeah.
Outside of that, there's not really much else. I mean, I'm excited, like I said, for the high school players to join. Mantrez Walker said he'll be here tomorrow in Colorado. We know that. I don't know when Julian Lewis will jump, if he will just jump on a plane tonight and be there tomorrow. Who knows? But as we know, Julian Lewis has done crazier schedules in his life when he was going camp to camp at the end of last school year and summer. So he very well could be in Colorado tomorrow. I don't know. I know that Quinnell Farrakhan, he's another guy that'll be joining the team. I can't wait for Quentin Gibson eventually, but he's still in the playoffs. So he's got at least one more game to go this weekend, I believe is when it is for Texas. So really excited to get some of these guys on campus, practicing with the team, get to see them on a well off. Like, how lucky are we that we get, the footage that we get, and that Bucky is going to cover those freshmen hard when they get here in the next week or so. So you guys will have to definitely be looking out for that, because that's going to be a big deal. Dave, we're coming up about 40 minutes. I know you wanted to cut us a little bit short tonight, which is fine. Is there anything else that you want to really quickly talk about, or anything else you want to cover?
Man, not that I can think of. Other than that, man, this is a wonderful start. Guys, I know we want running backs, we want tackles. I think those things will be coming. Hopefully, we can close the deal with KC Concepcion. I think that he would be a fantastic addition. And again, another year of Draylon, Omari, and Miller. We don't necessarily need to go get 4 starting wide receivers this year. I think that we're developing a really solid pipeline, but getting 2 or 3 guys from the portal here, I would really, really love as the bowl season winds down. So, man, it's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. We've got a lot of time left. We got a lot of things to cover, and it's going to be just a whirlwind. You thought today was crazy. Just wait. Because there's going to be more days like today where we just see one after another for commits. And for those of you that are still on here as we conclude the stream, make sure you guys go watch Julian Lewis. He's playing right now in the state championship. It is 17-17, about to be halftime. His offense has kind of sputtered the last couple drives. They were looking like they were going to go up 24-10. Weren't able to do it. They just had a touchdown called back on a punt return. It's now 3rd and super long for them, and it's not looking like he's gonna pick it up. Yep, he's 1 yard short on the run. Maybe they'll go for it, but hey, go over there. The YouTube channel is you can just search GPB Georgia Public Broadcasting state championships. It'll be there. You guys will want to watch that, and that's going to be a fun thing to get to watch your future quarterback and what you have going on there. So that'll do it for us tonight. Appreciate you guys. We will make sure to schedule a show early on next week, seeing as Christmas falls on Wednesday. So be on the lookout for that. We appreciate you guys so much for joining into us. All 500 of you, make sure on your way out, you hit that like button real quick. Until next time, as always, Sco Buffs.
Go.